Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are back with another brand new Mattel Jurassic World Rebirth release. As you can see, we have one of the story packs with Dr. Henry Loomis and the Pteranodon. This is a set that I have very much so been looking forward to, and conveniently, I actually had asked Marco Makes, to grab this from Smith's in the United Kingdom, because I did not see any sign of this one showing up here in the United States at all, so he went ahead and ordered it for me, and then the day after he ordered it, I found it here in the United States at a Boscovs. So if you do want this, head to Boscovs. That's where you'll probably be able to find it. And it does retail for $15. And then here on the back, you can see again a nice shot of the set, as well as a shot down here of the other set in this wave, which does feature Zora Bennett and the Velociraptor. So let's pop this box open and check it out. So here is the set now, released from the packaging. Definitely looking really cool. Specifically, I love this Pteranodon. I think it looks really nice and is by far, in my opinion, the best Pteranodon Mattel has released in these smaller figures like this. It just really is a gorgeous looking figure. I love this new sculpt. But if we go ahead and bring everything in, we'll start with Henry Loomis. You can see this is a different Henry Loomis figure than the one that we had in the Spinosaurus Danger set. Sculpt wise though, he looks really good. You can see again, he's got like some facial hair there, kind of like a small beard or 5 o'clock shadow going on. You can also see his lips do have, I think, decals on them. His eyes are there. The glasses are also very nice and precisely painted, which is pretty impressive considering how incredibly small they are. We can even see his eyebrows up there. The hair as well sculpted pretty nicely. I don't know if this is exactly the same sculpt as the other Henry Loomis when it comes to, like, you know, the head sculpt and everything, but obviously it's a bit different either way, because as we lead down, we have a very different outfit for this one. He has kind of like a vest on. You can also see a shirt that he has sculpted quite nicely. Again, the vest and shirt both have nice creases and stuff throughout, making the clothing look quite natural and realistic overall. You can also see that this probably could potentially be removed if you really wanted to, because it just sits on him, though I don't know how easy it would be to get it off of him. But as you can see, the shirt does have some nice patterns and designs which do look really good overall. It's definitely very nicely painted. As you move down, you also have his belt as well as the belt buckle, which is actually painted out there. And as you move down even further, we can see he's got some nicely sculpted pants, again with all sorts of wrinkles and creases and pockets and everything, painted with a tan. And then as we continue to move down even further, we've got the boots, which are also sculpted nicely. They do have the nice shoelaces and everything sculpted, but the shoelaces are unfortunately unpainted. So we'll just assume the laces are the same color as the boots. And as you move down through his arms and everything, again, you can even see like nice doses of musculature and everything, and very impressive realism to the figure as a whole. And he's also got the watch there, which unfortunately is just a black. There's no variation of color to that, but it looks pretty good overall. So I would say the Henry Loomis is definitely a very nice figure, and it's also fun to have a different version of him compared to the previously released version from the Spinosaurus Danger set. As far as the articulation goes, you can see left and right, also a little wiggle room forward and back. The arms, of course, forward and back and out away from the body, all very standard. Same deal with the elbow, again forward and back, can also swivel. And then, do we have midsection? Yes, we do have midsection articulation, so we've got a swivel there, and then the legs forward and back, also out away from the body, and then the knees forward and back, and can swivel. So all your standard articulation that you usually find in a Mattel human. He's also got this very cool weapon here, and as you can see, you can actually swivel this area. Feels like, yep, I was going to say, it feels like you could probably pop it off if you really wanted to. So that is removable. That area is very nicely colored with there's like a hair or something right there. Can't get that off. But it's colored with a really nice translucent blue and looks super cool. I'm obviously going to think that that's emitting some form of electricity to shock our pterosaur. But when you move down through the rest of it, again, it's all painted with a dark gray, but is pretty nicely detailed. Definitely a fun addition to this set. And then he also has a backpack, which you can see. And again, even the backpack is very impressive when it comes to the actual sculpt and fine detail. It is very, very realistic when it comes to all the different creases and everything that you have going on. And yes, you can open it up if you would choose to, I guess, to store some stuff if you would like. And then, of course, you've got the straps. And then we've got ourselves the Pteranodon. And this is definitely a different Pteranodon sculpt compared to the older ones. You can see it straight away in the head sculpt here of the figure. which I think the head sculpt looks really good. You've got some nice fine detail throughout the course of the beak, a nice brownish tone for the primary body color, but you do have a different tone of brown for the lower part of the beak. We have a beautiful vibrant blue that moves from the beak up over into the crest of our Pteranodon. We can also see the eyes painted with a yellow, but unfortunately no black pupil. The pupil is the brown of the body color. You do have an articulated jaw, closes pretty nicely, and opens quite nicely inside the mouth. We do have teeth painted out, but unfortunately Pteranodon didn't actually have teeth. We also have the tongue sculpted out in here and painted with a nice pinkish tone. The teeth are painted on the upper side. Again, didn't actually have teeth, but whatever. But no paintwork for the inside of the mouth up there, like no pinkish tones or anything up on the upper part. As far as the articulation in the neck, though, you can move it up and down really nicely, and swivel, of course. Doesn't really go left and right, kind of like wiggles a little bit, but as you move back into the wings, I will say the wings definitely have a much nicer wingspan on this one than many of the older Pteranodon figures have had, and that's definitely something that, I've noticed with some of the newer pterosaurs. If you look at the basic Quetzalcoatlus or the Psioptera that we've reviewed here on the channel recently with the Rebirth figures, the pterosaurs have definitely had a much nicer wingspan on them. As you move down, the body of the pterosaur looks really good. The skin texture looks quite nice. We could see the spinal column and everything moving along. Moving out into the wings, you can see again, everything looks really good leading along. The claws do have a bit of a gloss coat on them, but unfortunately no actual paintwork. However, the wings themselves, on top of having very nice texturing, do have again this kind of like light yellowish tone that moves up from the bottom of the wings and just patterns throughout, and it does look really cool and really quite natural overall. We also have the nice bits of realism with like the tears in the wing and everything, of course both wings of the pterosaur, and I like that they're of course different from side to side as far as the injuries go, just adding some nice life to the pterosaur. You do also have articulation in the legs, and as you can see, they can articulate freely, which is a massive plus for this one, because a lot of the time the pterosaurs can't do that. They articulate together. We also have that little tail there. And then moving along the underside of our Pteranodon, you can see again, the detail looks really good. You've got like veins and very nice texturing and everything all throughout the undersides of the wings, just no real paintwork down here. There is the fax app code, though, if you would like to add this one to your collection. And then you have the underside of the body here of the pterosaur, which again equally looks just as nice as we've seen elsewhere. As far as the other articulation, we have the wings, of course, which can go up and down very smoothly, can also swivel, and then you've got this spot here, which as well, again, can move really nicely, can go all the way around if you really want it to. So the articulation of the pterosaur is pretty nicely done, and I love the fact that we can actually kind of make this one stand if we want it to, though it's a little bit questionable as far as how good it can balance. We'll just stand it, I guess, like that for now. So actually, I've gone ahead and laid the pterosaur down so we can get a measurement on it. So for a length on the wingspan, you're looking at about 11¼ inches or around 28½ centimeters. And then for a length on the body, from the beak to the feet, about I'd say closing in on 4½ inches, but not quite, or around a little over 11 centimeters. And obviously, even though he's off here to the side, you're going to see Henry Lumis in the 3¾ inch size range like all of the other humans. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, Robert Muldoon in the Collect A Human Being, next to our Henry Loomis and Pteranodon set, and you can see that there's nothing really surprising as far as the sizes go here. Obviously, Henry Loomis there is the same size as every other Mattel human being as far as an adult male goes. The Pteranodon is the only thing that's slightly different, but we can very clearly see it's right there in that same similar, smaller size range as many of the older Pteranodon. As far as the pterosaur goes, though, you can see that just like with the Frenzy Pack Psioptera, it's fairly similar in size to the older pterosaurs, but just slightly more wingspan on the Pteranodon than we see on the Sauroptera. But other than that, again, very similar in size as far as these two pterosaurs go. So this brand new Mattel Jurassic World Rebirth set is really cool. Again, we've got a brand new version of Henry Loomis, different outfit and everything, which is nice, of course, to now have a few different figures of him. And this one as well, again, is just as nice as the first version, maybe even a little bit nicer because we just have a little bit more like detail to the paintwork and stuff. But sculpt-wise, he looks really good. Articulation-wise, also quite nicely done. He does come with a backpack, which is really cool, and of course his weapon, which just adds a nice element of not only playability, but also when it comes to the display factor. That's pretty cool. And the Pteranodon, of course, as far as I'm concerned, is the star of the show for this set, and it is a really nice looking version of a Pteranodon from Mattel. It is roughly in the same similar size range as all of the older small Pteranodon figures, just a little bit more wingspan than the older ones had, but that's really about it as far as the size goes that would differentiate this one from the older ones. Sculpt-wise, though, it definitely looks like it's an entirely new Pteranodon, and the fine detail looks really good. The overall sculpt looks nice, and the head sculpt as well looks really good, and it's the first time in a while that I can remember a Pteranodon from Mattel not really having that strong Jurassic Park 3 look, and again, that's pretty cool as well. The paintwork of the Pteranodon also looks quite nice. It's not overly impressive or flashy, but I really quite like the tones of color, and that blue crest is just like the icing on the cake for this one. It also does feature some very nice articulation, and kind of having the ability to actually make the pterosaur stand is really cool for this release. So if you are interested in this, head to your local Boscovs if you happen to have one, because that is exactly where I found mine. And like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.